Let's click the actual game. Umineko on a Monday. If it decides to open up, there it is. And I'm going to click this. I'm going to full screen it so it doesn't look weird. And then I'm going to say welcome to Umineko part 8, maybe? It's either 8 or 9. I'm going to check real quick. Yeah, it's 8. Umineko part 8, which we finished at the end of the last part. But I think just went up on the archive on YouTube there earlier today. We finished the first day. I'm pretty sure we would call it that, the first day. The clock rolled over. Ended directly on a sequence of events where I thought like the game was setting up like a jump scare. And I was actually like entering in real time my fight or flight sense and was about to like fight the game and just maybe punch my monitor or something. But no, it wasn't needed. Though I'm not going to put it above this game. I feel like it's still a possibility. Lots of things going on the first day of this game. Obviously the intro of the characters. Obviously the introduction of the either person or concept of Beatrice. Whether Beatrice is potentially one of the people already on the island, one of the people that we already know. Maybe she's a different entity. My theories on if it is someone already on the island who it can't speak, who it potentially already is. Who I said Natsuhi, perhaps, was my guess. If that is the actual case, that it's like a hidden role in someone here on the island. I'll adjust audio if I need to once we get it in. We last played just 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago. Alright, I gotta get into reading mode here. We're not probably going to be able to stick with this too long tonight. I don't want to go too late tonight, but I also wanted to play a bit of the Hex earlier. So we'll be here. I'll say we'll play for like an hour, and then we'll try to find a good natural stopping point in the story. As I always try to find here at the end of Umineko streams. Okay. Genji tightened his bow tie and looked outside through a crack at the curtains. Maybe the rain had died down a tiny bit since the previous night. But the thick rain clouds didn't seem like they'd be letting any trace of the morning sun get by. The morning was dim and far from refreshing. Turn up just a bit. It seems it will last all day after all. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Genji-sama. Kanon finished checking his appearance and exited the washroom. On the normal schedule, it was rare for anyone to have to suffer going straight from a midnight shift to an early morning shift. They were on a special schedule for the 2 days of the family conference. However, unless the typhoon passed today, the relative's stay on this island would last until tomorrow. Kanon thought it was best to be prepared for the special schedule to last an extra day. Oh, we got a thick wind. The two of them left the guest house, opening their umbrellas. The rose garden had been devastated by the wind and rain on the previous night. Even though they'd spent several days making it beautiful to welcome the guests, one stormy night was enough to ruin it. Kanon sighed. The two headed for the mansion. They were supposed to meet up with Goda and prepare breakfast. Goda was such a perfectionist that he had probably already woken up and was probably already preparing a breakfast as exquisite and elegant as glasswork. They reached the overhang by the entrance to the mansion and folded up their umbrellas. Genji took a bundle of several keys from his pocket and unlocked the front door. The Ishiromiya family mansion was the only thing on Rokenjima, so in the past, they hadn't been in the habit of locking up. However, Natsui had ordered that the mansion be locked up from midnight to early morning. I'm gonna sneeze. I don't know, was I just gonna say there? I guess I'm not gonna sneeze. Ever since then, unlocking the door in the early morning had become part of the servant's morning shift. Ah, it's just like tickling the back of my nose now. Terrible. This task had been given to Genji and Kanon so that Goda could start preparing breakfast as soon as he woke up. Silence had fallen in the mansion, giving the impression that the mansion itself was still asleep. Well then, let us begin the morning chores.
Hi.
Yes, sir. The two of them split up and began opening the curtains throughout the mansion. If the curtain stayed closed, the mansion would remain enveloped in faint darkness, as though it was still trapped in the previous night. Following a well-rehearsed procedure, Kanon went around the mansion, opening the curtains for one window after another without having to retrace his steps once. Even with this horrible weather, drawing the curtains made it feel just a little bit like morning. While doing that, he passed in front of the kitchen. Even though he hadn't smelled anything yet, his stomach started aching for some of Goda's prized cooking. Good morning. Question mark. He tried to greet Goda, who should have been getting breakfast ready, but Goda was nowhere to be seen. The kitchen was darkly lit, and not only were the curtains not open, but the fan wasn't even running. It was still cold, without any trace of a fire being lit, so of course there were no signs of breakfast being made either. Though it would have been inexcusable, perhaps Goda had overslept. Even servants are only human. They sometimes sleep in and show up late. In the rare case that such a thing happens, it's part of a servant's code to hide the unsightly scene before anyone notices, smoothly cover it up, and make sure the family never even realizes that anything has gone wrong. Kanon took the receiver of the phone that had been fitted to the wall and dialed the number for the extension line in the servant's sleeping room. He couldn't hear that characteristic sound of a dial tone. Oh no, the phone lines have been cut. Oh no, it's a horror game. Kanon tried picking up the receiver again, but even so, he couldn't hear the usual dial tone. He tried dialing again, but it had no apparent effect. Could the lightning last night have damaged the machine, breaking the extension line? The equipment in this mansion was all worn out. Kanon fully understood that even the smallest thing could have caused it to break down. He gave up trying to wake Goda with the phone and dashed over to the servant's sleeping room. How long has it been since I stopped sleeping and started lazily staring up at the ceiling? A vague sense of awakening was part of Natsui's usual morning experience. She always slept lightly. She couldn't sleep at all without medicine. To Natsui, sleep was definitely not a happy thing. When she looked outside, she saw that it was still pouring. If she hadn't sensed a tiny amount of light, she might have mistakenly thought it was still the previous night. She herself was one of the hosts, so she mustn't wake up later than her guests. Urging herself on, she raised up her body, which still hadn't completely recovered from yesterday's weariness. No one would torment her as long as she remained inside this room, and her headache wouldn't get any worse here. This room was the only place she could find peace. So when she left, it meant returning to the world where her husband's siblings kept trying to stab each other in the back. In that case, wouldn't it be better to just stay locked up in this room forever? A ridiculous notion brought a bitter smile to Natsui's face. She was starting to sound like Kinzo. Though she often complained about Kinzo staying locked up in his own room and refusing to attend to everyone else, the truth was that she longed to do the same. Natsui gave her head a small shake, and her fantasy was replaced by the reawakening of her usual headache. We're getting a close-up of a door. A doorknob, specifically. When she reached... I don't know why that was funny to me. When she reached for the doorknob, trying to leave the room, Her hand touched a scorpion charm that she had hung from it before going to sleep the previous night. It was Maria's charm, which Natsui had received from Jessica. Jessica? Didn't Jessica say something about it having the power to repel magic, telling her to hang it from her doorknob? Maybe it was thanks to the charm that at least this room had been protected from the malice of her husband's siblings. As she thought this, her mood began to get a little more cheerful. I wonder if I have Jessica to thank for the little bit of peaceful sleep I managed to receive. Then Natsui remembered. That's right. Last night, I promised Jessica that I'd give her a charm of my own in exchange for this one, didn't I? She hastily just takes a rubber band and like a hair tie or something and just a hair clip and fashions like a little shitty knickknack. Don't worry, Jessica, I didn't totally forget about that promise I made you. I love you so much, my own one and only daughter. Natsuhi opened a drawer on her dresser and took out an antique accessory case that she had treasured when she was a child. Inside, there were many small objects that Natsui had thought were valuable at the time. From amidst those, she pulled out a red pouch. Inside was a small round mirror about 10 centimeters across. It looked quite old, but the design on the back of the mirror was very ornate. It felt like something with historical value. At the very least, it seemed much more authentic than the other charm, which looked like a plastic scorpion keychain. Alright, shit on the fucking charm a bit more, why don't you, Natsui? Jesus, it's a thought that counts. And Jessica didn't make it. She got it from Maria. God. Like being overly critical. She had heard that this was a spiritual mirror for warding off evil spirits, and she had been given it specifically by her grandmother when her grandfather's mementos had been distributed. It had been believed since long ago that a strange power resided in this mirror. Perhaps people thought it could reflect calamity and malice in the same way it reflected light. And so we returned the mirror to its pouch. It would probably be a fitting object to hand over to Jessica. I'll show her a real gift. Just through gritted teeth. Just as she was placing it in her pocket, the sound of someone knocking on the door suddenly echoed throughout the room.
Hi.
Yes? Good morning, madam. Sorry, Genji. Good morning, madam. It is Genji. My apologies for waking you so early. I'm coming now. What is it? No servant had ever come to her this early in the morning, nor had they come to wake her in person. Perhaps something bad had happened? I read that as if there was a question mark at the end of that sentence, but there wasn't. Perhaps something bad had happened. Maybe some fatal oversight had been made while preparing breakfast, something that would shame the household in front of their guests. Natsui took a deep breath in anticipation for whatever trouble she was about to hear of. When she opened the door, Genji once again gave a morning... I probably should have waited for the door sound effect to end. When she opened the door, Genji once again gave a morning greeting while bowing deeply. Natsui tentatively responded. Good morning. Did something happen? My apologies. It would seem that the telephones have broken down due to lightning last night. The extension telephone isn't working, so please forgive my coming to see you directly. Man. Man, the phone's not being active? Oh, it's so convenient for possible, like, sacrifices to be made according to some weird half-riddle thing at the bottom of a witch's painting or something, you know? Man, and not be able to call for outside help or something. Seems like they should be panicked. I would be panicked. Get help.
内線電話が普通?
The extension telephone isn't working?
それは面倒になりましたね。
That will be troublesome.
修理は可能ですか?
Will it be possible to fix it? It's like the perfect situation for shit to happen. I mean, I know obviously this has to be the case because this is... I mean, how else do you, like, disable the abilities for the characters to, like, get outside help? But it's like, oh, shit, the phones went out. Oh, shit, we have a typhoon and it's locking us in this house and we can't leave the island. Oh, no. Oh, no, bad shit's gonna happen. It's just very funny. But I get it. I get it. It has to. There has to be a narrative reason. Will it be possible to fix it? I'm afraid we don't know the location of the damage. I think the thing I'm trying to point out here is not... I think the story is silly for having that be the case. I'm saying... much like if you were a main character inside of a slasher film, and like the bad things are starting to pile up and happen in succession to the point where like it's too much of a coincidence, they should recognize as characters in this game, they should be like, oh no. The perfect storm is happening to keep us pinned in this mansion for these sacrifices to happen that we've read about. Like, I would, if I was them right now, I'd be like, immediately being like, oh, we're fucked. I mean, I don't know what else they're supposed to do. But, but I just want them to recognize it, I guess. I'm afraid we don't know the location of the damage. Later on, I would like to call in an expert and have him repair it.
ということは、この台風が過ぎるまでは修理不能ということですか?
Does that mean we'll be unable to have it repaired until after the typhoon passes?
つまり、客人たちの滞在中はずっと普通ということですね。
Then it will remain broken down for the duration of our guest's stay.
客人たちのお世話に支障は?
Will that hamper our efforts to care for our guests?
出ないよう最善を尽くします。
We will do all we can to ensure that there are no problems.
結構です。
I think I added the word that. Very well.
粗相のないようよろしく頼みます。
I'm counting on you to make sure we have no blunders. Natsui let out a small sigh of relief. She had been prepared for the worst, but damage to the telephones wasn't the kind of trouble she was worried about. See? There's her mistake. She should be worried. She should be throwing this in with all the other things that are happening and be like, we're knee deep in shit right now. We're taking on a lot of water, and the too many bad things are potentially happening right now. She should be worried. That's exactly my point. And yet, she's unbothered. Let's hope it's not her undoing. Then again, even this would probably be enough to spark sarcasm from Eva. Natsui gave her head a light shake.
朝食の準備は順調ですか?
Are the preparations for breakfast proceeding well?
それがゴーダの姿が見えません。
As to that, we haven't been able to find Goda.
朝食の支度もまだ行われておらず。
The arrangements for breakfast have yet to be carried out. He's slacking. What did you say? Natsui was indignant. To her, this was a much bigger problem than the phones not working. How else would they get their morning dose of protein and energy? And despite that, this piece of information was the part that had been postponed. Why did everything go well most of the time and then come to something like this when the relatives were visiting? Natsui put her hand to her forehead and shook her head.
大方朝寝坊でもしているのでしょう。
Well, I suppose he slept in.
とにかく誰でもいいから急いで朝食の準備を。
At any rate, just see to it that someone hurries up and prepares breakfast. I don't care who. What? Natsui exited into the hall and turned around for a second to close the door to her room. The creepy thing she saw there silenced her completely. The hell? Okay, before this whole thing happened, okay, you know, I'm not playing this game in a vacuum, right? Like, I've played other visual novels where things happen, mysteries unfold, whatever the case is. I don't want to potentially spoil this for other people that are maybe experiencing this story with the first time for me, but it's I have to I got to at least theorize about things, right? Did something bad happen to Goda? Because I mean, it's a little. I mean, maybe they're playing. They could be playing to that expectation, right? They could be going, "Oh, we're making the player think that something bad happened to Goda, but we're going to use that against them, and he is just oversleeping." Maybe that is the case, but my brain can't shake the feeling that something may have happened to Goda. But back to this. It was an unpleasant sight, as if someone had dipped their fingers in a reddish-black liquid and scratched at the door around the doorknob. That's gross. It was probably some sort of awful prank. Okay, that's one thought. Arranged by some person who wanted to make it look as though they'd tried to force the door with bloody hands. What? What sort of prank is this? How awful.
私も今ここにお伺いして初めて気づきました。
I also just noticed it as I came to call you.
後ほど清掃いたします。
Was that to her room? Because now my theory, now my brain is going everywhere. Now my brain is. So he exited into the hall and turned around for a second to close the door to her room. Okay, so it was to her room. Don't worry, I'm zen. I am zen at this moment. I also just noticed that as I came to call you, I'll clean it later. Perhaps. This is a vulgar joke by one of the guests. Disgusting. Truly disgusting. Who in the world would pull such a childish and disgusting prank? So he had a pretty good idea, but of course there was no proof. So even if she pushed the issue, it would just seem as though she was making a fuss about nothing. In fact, it would surely be better to act as though she hadn't even realized that such a prank had been played on her. Yeah, just the ignore tactic. I'm familiar with this. Ignore the things that are bothering you. Just push them aside. Natsui gave the order to have it cleaned and headed off to the parlor with a squeak of her heels. Don't let people know you've been bothered. When Natsui and Genji arrived in the parlor, Eva and Hideyoshi were already there. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Natsui-san. I heard Goda-san would be making us breakfast too. My stomach's been getting all excited since I woke up. Whoa! After all, seems food is all you can look forward to at the head family household. Giggle, giggle. I'm pleased to see that you too are in high spirits so early in the morning, Eva-san. All like caught up in my own wires here. My streaming setup has looked better. I was a peek behind the curtain during the day today. I was trying to like organize like cables and shit, and I feel as if I just made things worse. Oh, I'm having the realization that I maybe made things worse. I'm gonna have to redo things tomorrow. Oh, well, it's fine. With a weary expression, Natsui returned to Yu's gaze, which was fiercely competitive despite the early hour. Then Kanon jogged in. After bowing an apology to the relatives for running inside the mansion, he noticed Genji and told him something in a small voice.
Kanon.
Kanon,
ゴーダはまだ見つからないのですか?
have you still not found Goda?
申し訳ございません、奥様。
My apologies, madam.
お屋敷内もゲストハウスも回ったのですが、
I went all over the inside of the mansion and the guest house,
まだ
but I still haven't found him.
一体どこへ行ったというのです?
Where in the world has he gone?
とりあえず今はゴーダより朝食の準備が先決です。
At any rate, breakfast is a higher priority than finding Goda right now. She's just gonna have to, like, just send one of the other servants to go, like, make a Starbucks run or something. It's a lost cause at this point.
至急対応しなさい。
See to it immediately.
はい。
Yes. Kennen glanced at Genji. Seemed he had something else to report, but was uncertain whether or not the words should come from him. Genji nodded and decided to give the report himself.
奥様、
Madam,
ゴーダだけではありません。
it is not only Goda.
旦那様の姿もありません。
Oh shit! Oh fuck! Okay, your husband. Oh. It's happening. Your husband is also nowhere to be found.
主人が?
My husband?
はい。
Yes.
奥様より先に旦那様に朝食の準備がないことをご報告しようと思い、寝室をお伺いしたのですが、お姿がありませんでした。
Even before visiting you, I went to his room to tell him that breakfast wasn't being prepared, but I did not find him there.
それから旦那様だけではありません。
Furthermore, he is not the only one missing.
ルドルフ様ご夫妻とローザ様のお姿もありません。
Shit, it's a whole swath of people. Rudolph-sama, his wife, and Rosa-sama are nowhere to be found.
ゲストハウスにも?
Not in the guest house?
屋敷にもですか?
Nor the mansion?
はい。
Yes.
ゲストハウスの部屋にもおられません。
They were not in their rooms in the guest house either. When she'd heard that Goda alone was missing, she'd assumed he had slept in or was loafing around somewhere. However, now that she learned that several of the relatives were also nowhere to be seen, she began to take a slightly more optimistic view. Could last night's family conference have continued all night, up until the present morning? Wait, did I say morning? Moment. I thought I read that wrong. If so, they might have wanted to cool their heads after being shut in a stuffy room, going out for walks on their own through the rain. The part about cooling their heads really sounded like something Kraus would say. Goda had probably been summoned to accompany them and aid them in some way. Goda was not a man who lost track of time. He had to understand that preparations for breakfast would be hindered if he did not return. However, maybe the family conference had continued until this very moment, with an atmosphere that would make it hard for anyone to slip out. Yes, that theory would be quite convincing for Natsui. She remembered the illusion she'd felt that morning, as though the previous night had never ended. When she learned that the feeling wasn't just an illusion, she once again took a deep, weary breath. After all, that banquet of filthy vultures circling Kinzo's property was still going on.
大方、庭園のどこか、あるいは海岸の方で相も変わらず遺産の話を繰り返しているのでしょう。
Perhaps they are still discussing the inheritance somewhere in the garden, or maybe the beach.
とにかく、ゴーダを呼び戻さなくては、いつまでも朝食の準備が整いません。
At any rate, if we don't call Goda back, we'll never be able to begin preparations for breakfast.
ってことはなんや?
We have multiple people missing, and she's like, "We gotta put on breakfast!" Priorities. So what are you saying?
兄さんたちの話し合いはまだ続いとるんか?
Are Nissan and the rest still continuing their discussion? She had planned to say it in a small voice, but Hideyoshi overheard Natsui and managed to grasp the situation.
兄さんもルドルフもタフね。
Nissan and Rudolph sure are tough.
ローザの場合は若さかしら。
Maybe it's just youth in Rosa's case.
私たち夕べの24時過ぎにはもう眠くてベッドに戻らせてもらったんだけど。
Just a bit after midnight, the two of us were so tired that we headed back to bed.
確かにあの時点でもまだ兄さんたちは熱論を交わしてたわ。
Though I do remember that Nissan and the rest were still having a heated discussion at that point.
男って熱くなると嫌やね。
Men certainly are unpleasant when they get all fired up. Natsui snorted, her face still blank.
カノン、表を探してらっしゃい。
Cannon, search outside.
ゴーダを見つけたらすぐに戻って朝食の準備をするよう伝えなさい。
If you find Goda, tell him to return immediately and begin preparing breakfast.
かしこまりました。
Certainly.
夏日姉さん、表とは限らないわよ。
Natsui Nissan, we don't know for sure that they're outside, do we?
お父様の書斎ってことはないかしら。
Couldn't they also be inside Father's study?
なるほど。考えられん話やないで。
I see. That's certainly possible.
どういう話の流れかはわからんが、
I don't know what path their conversation took.
お父さんの主催に場所を移して、お父さんにも混じってもらって議論を続けてるっちゅう可能性は十分あるやろ。
But there's certainly a chance they moved to Father's study and let him in on the discussion.
そのような汚らわしい話題を好んでお父様が書斎へ招き入れることなど考えられません。
I can't imagine that Father would willingly let them bring such a detestable topic into his study.
あらそう。
You really think so?
じゃあ仕方ないわね。
Well then, there's nothing we can do.
源氏さんとカノン君は申し訳ないけど外を探してきてちょうだい。
I'm sorry, Genji-san and Kanon-kun, but could you search outside?
確かに兄さんなら頭を冷やすために外を散歩しようなんて言い出しても不思議はないわ。
It wouldn't be that strange for Nissan to suggest that they go outside for a walk to cool their heads.
たとえこんな天気でもね。
Even in this weather,
私はお父様の書斎に行ってくるわ。
I'll go to Father's study.
ひょっとするとそこにいるかもしれないしね。
Who knows? They might actually be there after all.
客人であるエヴァさんにそこまでのご足労はおかけできません。
Eva-san, I couldn't ask a guest like you to exert herself so.
私が行ってきます。
I will go.
朝のご挨拶も兼ねて。
I can also wish him a good morning while I'm at it.
あら、じゃあお願いするわね。
Oh, then I'll leave it in your hands.
でも朝の挨拶を交わしてくれるかは疑わしいわね。
Though I somehow doubt he'll return your greeting. Damn, biting comment. Eva's really good at those passive-aggressive statements.
夏日姉さんってお父様とは仲よろしかったかしら。
Natsue-ni-san, have you always been on such good terms with Father?
仲が良いかは分かりかねますが、
I don't know whether you could call it that.
後ろ宮家の跡継ぎの妻を許されるだけの信頼を得ていると確信しています。
But I am sure that I've gained his trust as the wife of the successor to the Ishiromiya family.
ならきっと返事くらいはしてくれるわね。
Then I'm sure he'll at least answer you, right?
お父様とは朝食くらいご一緒したいの。
I'd like to at least have breakfast with Father.
ぜひ降りてきてくださるよ。説得してくれないかしら。
Do you think you could convince him to come down and join us?
私たちはすっかり嫌われちゃってるみたいだけど、そこまで信頼を得ている夏日姉さんの言うことなら聞いてくれそうですもの。
Seems that he thoroughly despises the rest of us, but I'm sure he'll listen to you if he trusts you that much.
そこまで短歌を切ってお父様を説得できず、一人で降りてきちゃったりしたら。
After speaking so boldly, if you're unable to convince Father and come down alone,
信頼を得ているなんて二度と言えないかもね。
then I doubt you'll ever be able to claim that you've earned his trust again. Giggle, giggle, condescending giggle.
自信はありませんが、努力はします。
I am not confident, but I will try. Natsui responded, looking discouraged. However, knowing Kinzo's temperament, she had absolutely no confidence in her ability to bring him out. Eva was clearly mocking her, confident that Natsui wouldn't be able to get Kinzo to come down. But even so, Natsui would lose face if she gave up, saying it was impossible and letting Eva go instead. Eva's mean-spirited and unreasonable demand made Natsui clench her fist slightly. When Genji realized this, he softly spoke to her over her shoulder.
奥様
Madam,
よろしければこれをお持ちください
please, take this if you would.
それは
And this is... Genji handed Natsuhi a sparkling gold key of ornate design. It was a key to Kinzo's study. Oh. The study had an auto lock, and couldn't be unlocked as long as Kinzo forbade entrance. However, since Genji was especially trusted by Kinzo, he was allowed to carry a key to that door. But if only he was trusted, and then he's like, fuck it, take the key. He must think that it's an important enough case to do so.
でもこの鍵を使ったらあなたも咎めを受けるのではありませんか
But if this key is used, won't you also receive the blame?
親方様は深くお休みになられている時扉を叩くくらいではお耳に届かないこともございます
When the master is sleeping deeply, simply knocking on the door will not suffice.
それに親方様にお部屋を出ていただくよう説得するには扉越しでは難しゅうございましょう
And it would be more difficult to persuade the master to leave his room if you must talk through the door.
ぜひお使いください
Please, use this.
源氏
Genji. Until now, Natsui had thought of Genji as a cold servant who wouldn't do anything for her, since he worked directly under Kinzo. But it looked like she would have to alter her understanding of him. She wanted to communicate her gratitude, but by then Genji had already turned his back on her and was walking down the corridor with Cannon. But as Natsui watched them go, the words directed at her from behind were sneering.
じゃあお父様を必ず連れてきてね
Shut the fuck up, Eva. I'm ready for Natsui to just like have just enough of a headache and also like had just enough of Eva's bullshit to just knock her out. Oh, it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen. What we have probably 250 more hours of this story. There's got to be a moment. There's got to be a Natsui just knocks out Eva moment. Well then, you must bring father with you, okay?
息子のかわいい嫁の言うことですものきっと聞いてくれるわよ
After all, it's his son's precious wife who's asking. I'm sure he'll listen to you. More condescending giggles.
私たちは客人だからここでのんびりくつろがせてもらうわ
We're guests, so we'll just relax here at our leisure.
予算かえば口が過ぎるで
Quit it, Eva. You're taking this too far.
すまんが夏日姉さんお父さんのことをよろしく頼むわ
Sorry, Natsui-san, but we're counting on you to deal with father. Without answering, Natsuhi forcefully spun around on her heels and quickly left that place. Are we back with the kids, perhaps? After all that excitement the previous night, there was no way anyone was going to wake up early. George and Nikki, Jessica, and I were snoring loudly on the beds in the cousin's room. But Maria, who had gone straight to bed without joining in, was completely awake. Thank goodness we're getting back to Maria. So we can hear more of the double U's. As she rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked around, she was met with the loud snoring of the other three cousins. For a while, Maria had to think about what had happened. After that, she realized that her mother wasn't with her, and she quickly got lonely. Maria left the cousin's room, trying to head to the room that had been arranged for her and her mother. Paying no heed to the three who were sleeping soundly, she slammed the door shut. In response, Battler mumbled and rolled over in his sleep, but it wasn't enough to wake him up. After a while, Maria returned, once again opening the door with a lively bang. Bang! Ooh. When she had left the room, her face had been sleepy. Her face had been sleepy? Sure. But now that she was back, she looked irritated. I accept it. It's fine. After that, she climbed up on Battler's bed, which happened to be the closest, and started yelling and jumping on it like it was a trampoline. Ooh. Ooh. Excuse me. There was that sneeze. Holy shit. It was just percolating there. Sorry about that. I didn't mute myself again. Now I'm very bad. Ooh. Wake up! Go me, go. Go me, go. Go, go, go. Screen shake. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Screen shake. I always get thrown off by the screen shakes. Whoa, what? Is it an enemy raid? Surround them! After making sure I was awake, Maria moved over to George Niki's bed and started jumping on that too. In that manner, the three of us were all I love this fucking jaunty, like, fucking piano. In that manner, the three of us were all greeted with an extremely pleasant awakening. Thanks for waking us up, Maria-chan. Oh, our least favorite cousin. Right now, George is in the doghouse for me. George is so low. He had his non-defending of Maria situation as the parent was being abusive. We had fucking George be like, oh, fucking, you gotta prepare, you gotta be an adult, you gotta fucking grow up. And then we had him being like, his uninspiring marriage proposal moment. Just a lot of L's. Thanks for waking us up, Maria-chan. You stopped us from sleeping in after that late night. If only you could have been a bit more gentle about it. George Nissan, you really are an adult. I respect that. It'll be 7 o'clock soon. Well, it's not really a bad time to wake up. That was a weird yawn noise. Started with like a gag. Ooh. Mama's not here. Ooh. Aunt Rosa? She wasn't in her room? I wonder if she's already woken up and gone to the mansion. Not here. Ooh. Ugh. Mama! More tears. Maria kept groaning ooh, and looking unhappy. She didn't exactly seem lonely because her mother wasn't around. It was more like she was irritated and thrown off balance because her mother wasn't where she expected. If we could just tell her where her mother was, that alone would probably calm her down. But unfortunately, we had no way of knowing where Aunt Rosa was, except that she wasn't here. Anyway, it's time for breakfast, so let's over to the head. Just slurring right through there. So let's head over to the mansion. I took my eyes off the words because I was formulating the thing I was about to say, which was they don't know that breakfast will not be prepared for them. Oh, they are in for a world of disappointment.
そうだな。
That's right.
マリア、一緒に屋敷へ行こうぜ。
Maria, let's go to the mansion together, okay?
きっとローザおばさんもそこさ。
I'm sure Aunt Rosa will be there too.
ママはお屋敷
Mama's in the mansion?
なら行く。
Then I'll go there. Ooh.
そうだね。お屋敷に行こうか。
Yeah, guess we should go to the mansion.
多分親たちはもう向こうに行ってるんだよ。
Our parents have probably already gone there. Maria regained her usual composure so completely, her earlier tantrum now seemed like a lie. We got dressed, left the room, and headed for the mansion. Oh, are you telling me they didn't just wake up in those suits that they're drawn in? The bed, and wake up in suits. Once more, there was a knocking sound on the study door, but there was no answer. He seemed to be sleeping still, and I could not wake him. If she went back downstairs and said something like that, Eva would probably be amused and triumphant, and we don't like Eva. Fuck her. Can't let her win this. And even putting Eva aside, it was problematic that Kinzo had stayed shut away during this entire once-a-year conference, not even coming down to greet anyone. Even the family head, no, especially the family head, couldn't fail to make an appearance. I wonder if I can convince him myself. Natsuki readied herself and used the key that she'd borrowed from Genji to open the door. I gotta be honest, she's got some balls. I'd be afraid to use the key. This is exactly those types of situations. Remember, like, this is like a magnified, amplified, obviously with all the family drama going on. But this reminds me of, like, especially with it being early in the morning. I, as a kid, would always wake up super early if I was ever, like a friend's house for a sleepover or something. I would always be the first one awake. And there would always be that awkward moment where I'm just like, I'm up, I'm awake, everyone else is sleeping. I'm just like, do I get up? Can I go to the restroom? Am I going to wake others up? Do I just act like I'm sleeping? Can I just die? Can I just leave? Yes, key, go. Man, they really get their mileage out of this door opening sound effect. That door opening sound effect happens so often. It's always the same too. Every door in this mansion creaks the same as you open it. Even though she was prepared for the sweet stench. Sweet stench? Oh, candies? Is that why? I was just talking about, was it candy? Or am I thinking another thing? Sweet stench? Sure. Which seemed to eat into one's brain as it poured out of the small crack in the door. She couldn't help but grimace. Thinking that he might still be sleeping, Natsuya entered the room quietly. I'm here! When she did, Kinzo was already awake and looking down out the window. Out of the window.
お目覚めでしたか。
So you're awake?
おはようございます。
Good morning.
どうやって入ったのか。
How did you get in? Kinzo spoke with his back still facing her. His voice was not harsh, but calm, which was even scarier, and Natsui was slightly reassured. However, though he was awake, he wouldn't have ignored all that knocking if he was in a good mood. Natsui wasn't able to relax.
申し訳ございませんでした。
My sincere apologies.
源氏さんにお願いして書斎の鍵をお借りさせていただきました。
I asked Genji-san, and he allowed me to borrow the key to the study.
ほう。
Oh.
源氏がか。
Genji did?
我が友がそれに足ると思ったならば、話を聞かぬわけにもいくまい。
If my friend thought it was that important, then I have no choice but to listen.
して、私に何用か。
So, what business do you have with me?
はい。
Well...
もうじき朝食の準備が整いますが、ぜひお父様にもおいでいただきたく思いまして。
Breakfast will be ready soon, and I would greatly appreciate if you would join us. He's just gonna tell her to fuck off. Like, he's just gonna be like, no. Just because you've penetrated my defensive barrier and my walls, does not mean I'm gonna all of a sudden want to join my family. Predictable. I will eat here. Have it brought here like always.
しかしお父様、
But father,
年に一度の親族会議です。
this family conference happens only once a year.
せめてお顔をお見せになってください。
Please, at least let them see your face. Go back downstairs. Are you asking me to join in as they discuss how to chew up my inheritance after I die? You know what? I don't think I fully, 100% comprehended this fact. But, and I'm not necessarily saying I 100% agree with Kinzo and his attitude as we've had, experienced him over these last however many hours. But, maybe it's almost a chicken and egg type situation. But what if he knows all his kids and his kids, why am I blanking on the word? Significant others of whatever. If he knows they all suck and they're all out to get each other and they're all out just looking out for themselves, I too would be a bitter old man. I'd be like, I fucking raised the worst kids. Now, there's the other part where it's like, well, they're your kids, so they're you might be the one to blame for them being so shitty. But I don't know, at some point you just gotta be like, well, my kids are shitty. They're shitty adults. And they're a lost cause, and I'd rather never see their faces again. So maybe Kinzo's not in the 100% in the wrong at this moment. Seriously, fuck them kids. The kids are not all right, you know? How foolish. Let them speak of such matters as much as they please without me. And if that's what you call a family conference, it's hardly worth leaving my room for it. I am busy. Do not bother me. His last words carried the threat that any further questions would be not appreciated. Natsui realized that adding any further pleas would finally bring his wrath down upon her. She didn't look forward to facing Eva's sarcasm, but there was nothing more Natsui could do. She really got boned in this situation. Is that so?
わかりました。
Understood.
みんな残念がるでしょうが、そう伝えます。
I am sure everyone will be sorry to hear it, but I will tell them. Natsui decided to give up. Bowing silently, she tried to leave the room before Kinzo's spasmodic temper could flare up. Spasmodic. As she did, Kinzo spoke to her. His voice was so calm and gentle, it felt like it came from an entirely different person.
Natsui.
Natsui! Natsui! It has been quite some time since you married into the Ushiromiya family.
はい。
Yes?
後ろ宮を名乗ることを許されてから、もう随分になります。
It has been many years since I was first permitted to bear the name Ushiromiya. Do you sometimes long for your previous family? She's like, yes, get me out of here.
いいえ。
No.
嫁ぐとは、成果を捨てることです。
Marriage means abandoning your birth family.
私は後宮夏日。
God, what a truly traditional way of looking at marriage. Could you imagine? You're like, all right, I'm ready to take on my husband's name, whatever the case may be. I'm entering that family. Fuck my family. I will never see them again. But the thing is, and I think we've talked about this, but like older traditions, older or different regions, different places view marriage and family differently. I assume, but couldn't be me. I am Yoshiromiya Natsui.
帰る家も懐かしむ家も全てはこの後ろ宮の家のみです。
The Yoshiromiya family is the only family I can come home to, the only one I am fond of. She truly wasn't exaggerating. Such was the resolve she felt whenever she applied the Yoshiromiya family name to herself. That's precisely why she was so saddened when her husband didn't treat her like an Yoshiromiya, leaving her to race about in vain. Oh god. If Kraus were a woman, and you his husband, no, I won't say that. Fuck you, Kinzo. Say what you're gonna say. Don't fucking tease like that. What do you mean by that? Father? Natsui was shocked. If Kinzo's words just now were what they seemed, it would have been more than enough to make up for all she'd suffered up to that point. Forget it. It's just the nonsense of an old man. Kinzo once again faced away from her. He told her to forget it, but Natsui couldn't help feeling a warmth in her heart. God, Natsui getting, like, not a redemption arc, but, like, a being loved arc. Her daughter, Jessica, had, like, a moment with her just an hour or two ago in the game. You know, it's like her daughter was, like, trying to bond with her and gave her a shitty little plastic scorpion thing. Then she's looking up to Kinzo, and Kinzo's like, Kinzo almost cracked. Kinzo almost had a moment, and she's like holding on to that so dearly. She's like, I'm having my moment. This music sounds like a broken VHS. That's a good way of describing it. Father? Even though I, Natsui, am not connected to you by blood, I am still your daughter. God, just give Natsui a crumb of love and respect. And look at her flourish. I will most assuredly see to it that your honor and glory and everything you have left behind are protected. You do not have the right to wear the one-winged Don't Call Me Angel Eagle. However, the one-winged eagle is surely engraved in your heart. That is irrefutable proof that you are my blood relative, one who will inherit the glory of the Yoshiromiya family. Some will sneer that there's no equal on your clothes. But such words are not worth lending ear to. Only those who hold the eagle in their hearts are my true blood relatives. I now consider it an honor that you are welcomed in the Yoshiromiya family. Without saying anything more, Kinzo remained with his back to Natsui. Dude, all it took was for Natsui, like I said, to get the balls to just, like, use the key on the door and just go in. That's all it took. That's all it took. However, Natsui couldn't help but feel something warm well up inside her that she hadn't felt since long ago when she had been just a child. Natsui bowed silently to his back and left the room. Shut the Shut the fuck up, Eva. You can't break her stride. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Ah, good timing.
お父様の様子はどう？
How is father?
あんまり遅いから様子を見に来ちゃったのよ。
You were taking so long, so I came to check. God, Eva, I've kind of been mentioning this. She's so far such a good character, because she has like, even just her art is just like this, she's got this shit-eating grin kind of on her, and the way she's written and the way she talks, she just like, she knows how to just fucking needle you. She just knows how to fucking needle you. And and it's gonna make it sound bad, but she reminds me a lot of one of my older sisters, and how that sister would treat me when I was like a lot younger. Now, obviously now, we're adults. Things are fine. Everyone is mellowed out in my family, mostly. But as a kid, she's just like one of my older sisters, who would just know how to just fucking needle you the perfect way, and just drove me up a wall as a kid. He was that bitch. He was that bitch. She knows how to get under your skin. When Natsui left the study, she saw Eva climbing the stairs and their eyes met. Eva was smirking unpleasantly, thinking that Natsui would leave grudgingly, I know words, after failing to convince Kinzo. However, the way Natsui was now, such a frivolous laugh would not disturb her. She was not permitted to wear the family crest on her clothing. I still very am a big fan of the, like, I assume the crest as a tattoo thing on her arm? There was one, oh yeah, it was her on her thigh that I was like, oh, that's a cool concept too. Was there someone else that had it like on their actual skin? I don't know, maybe it was just them too. That is kind of cool. God, even with the fan is a great accessory for her character, because only a fan amplifies that bitchiness, that attitude, that like, oh God, it's so good. But she was permitted to wear it in her heart. Exactly. If you're gonna give your sassy character that everyone hates, and she knows how much everyone hates her, and she just loves to amplify it, the fan is a good thing to go with. But she was permitted to wear it in her heart. So she spoke calmly, clearly, and confidently, with the dignity of the one who would protect the Ishimura family's glory.
お父様は親族会議にはおいでにならないそうです。
Father said he would not join in on the family conference.
汚らわしい議題に関心はないと仰せです。
He says he has no interest in discussing such obscene matters.
とかなんとか言っちゃって。
I figured you'd say something like that.
お父様を説得できなかったんなら素直にそう言えばいいじゃない。
If you fail to persuade father, just say so.
哀れですね。
How pitiful.
お父様が嘆かれるお気持ちも分かろうというものです。
I'm beginning to see why father lamented so. Natsui should just make some shit up. She should just say, oh, also, Kinzo said he hated you the most. And then just walk away. Like, I don't care. Fucking say anything. Get her off your back.
それはどういう意味よ。
What do you mean by that? Natsui did not answer. Just as Kinzo had done earlier, she showed Eva her back as she headed down the stairs. Good job. Let's go. Let's go, Natsui. Let's go. Exactly. Eva's not the one going into the room. Eva's not the one who was gifted the key from Genji. Genji didn't give Eva the key. Eva finally realized that she was being made fun of, that something had happened to quickly bolster Natsui's confidence. Even so, she apparently didn't have the courage to risk Kinzo's wrath. Unable to even knock on the door, she could only click her tongue, make a motion as though scratching at it, and follow after Natsui.
それで兄さんたちはいたの？
So, Were Nissan and the rest there?
お父様に聞いたの？
Did you ask father about them?
聞きそびれましたが、書斎の中にはいませんでした。
I didn't get the chance to ask, but they were not inside the study.
お父様が夫たちの下船な話のために入室を許すこともありえませんから。行き
Father
先を知ることもないでしょう。
jumped the gun. Father would never let them into his room to discuss such a lowly topic, so it is unlikely he knows where they went.
下に降りて使用人たちが探してくれるのを待ちましょう。
Let us go downstairs and wait for the servants to return from their search.
朝食は遅れますが、お茶でもいかがです、エヴァさん。
Oh, Natsui's playing the I'm so above you card. She is playing, she's not only, she's like, alright, I've got the confidence, I've bested you, despite you thinking you had the upper hand on me, and now I'm gonna play the I'm above you, I'm above your little games, and I'm gonna offer you some tea. How are you gonna deal with that? How are you gonna deal with that, Eva? How are you gonna... Oh, I'm enjoying this too much. Breakfast may be late, but how would you like some tea, Eva-san?
別に結構よ。
That would be fine. Eva couldn't hide her confusion at the complete difference in Natsui's attitude. She was acting so boldly, and while Eva hated to admit it, she even had a sense of dignity about her. Unable to find fault with anything, Eva could only follow Natsui back to the parlor. Exactly. God, this family's so good at playing the Uno reverse cards. At each other. When the two of them returned to the parlor, Hideyoshi had been joined by the 4 children and Nanjo. Genji, who had been talking with Hideyoshi, reported the current situation when he noticed that Natsui had returned.
主人たちはまだ見つからないのですか？
You not found my husband and the rest? You still, I mean?
申し訳ございません。
Yes, my apologies.
あと、熊沢が朝食の準備に入りました。
Also, Kumisawa has started preparing breakfast.
もう少し時間をいただきたいとのことです。
She said that she will need just a little longer. Just making up words. The clock read a little past 8. 8 o'clock should have been the time to start breakfast. Unacceptable. Normally, going over that time limit would be a disgrace to the host.
今、カノンが表を探しています。
Cannon is now searching outside.
それから、シャノンの姿も見えません。
Oh shit, Shannon's also gone. Oh my god, everyone's just gone. Also, no one has seen Shannon either.
シャノンまで？
Even Shannon's missing?
まったく。主人は何人を従えて散歩に出かけたのですか？
Truly, just how many people did my husband bring with him on this little walk? Just how many people had gone missing by now? I mean, at this point, either it's one of 3 things, right? A bad thing has happened to all these people. 2, it is just a complete red herring, and they're all just, I don't know, going to the bathroom or something along those lines. Or 3, they're out fucking trying to solve the riddle. And they're like out in the woods bushwhacking or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the riddle would take. I don't know if they go out on the island and have to solve things. But maybe they've teamed up. And they're out there like, they're like, fuck breakfast. We need to go get a leg up on the competition or something. That's what I would maybe do. I would honestly be like, fuck everyone else at this get together. I'm gonna solve a riddle. Okay, just how many people had gone missing by now? Now that the number was this large, it was starting to feel truly unpleasant, as though the people here were the only ones being left out of something interesting. At least, that seemed to reflect the feelings of the children, and Maria in particular. She was indignant, her stomach grumbling, almost as though her mother and the others had left her alone to go off and eat something delicious without her. The other children were flipping through the channels on the television, trying to find a program that might interest Maria and cheer her up again. Nanjo was sitting on the sofa, gazing blissfully at the children while reading a book. It must have been a book about chess. Wait, Okay, I was so confused. I I was like, because we saw I heard the name Nanja like 3 times, and I was like, wait, I was like, who the fuck is Nanja again? It's the fucking physician who I've completely like forgot about because he's been so like he's popped up a couple times, but he's just been like so like I'm thinking of all the characters and I'm just thinking of them in pairs, right? Like I'm thinking of like pair, technically pair. Like I've paired them all up in my brain, and then I don't immediately go like, oh, Nanjo and I don't know, maybe Kunasawa or something, but like I just wasn't like putting that together. He's just, dude, he totally is just like, he's just there. He's just having a good time. Because he's the physician, and he's the one watching over Kinzo, and everyone's like, oh, Kinzo's gonna die. And so he's like, okay, cool. Okay, what do I get to do when he's dead? Can I just live here? Can I just live here for like retirement? It must have been a book about chess. The sound of footsteps came rushing towards them with a pitter-patter. There was only one set, so they realized before seeing who it belonged to that it was probably Cannon, not Kraus and the rest. Dude, I'm ready. I'm ready for Nanjo to solve the riddle. And all the gold is his. The island is his mansion, his servants. He probably deserves it at this point.
奥様、失礼します。
Madam, excuse me.
その様子では見つけられなかったようですね。
Judging by your appearance, you still haven't been able to find them.
申し訳ございません。
My apologies.
まだ。
I still haven't.
もう十分です。
That'll be enough.
ご苦労をかけました。
You've worked hard. She didn't know where they were, but they had to be somewhere on this island. They hadn't had a thing to eat since the previous night, so their stomachs must be growling about now. They'd probably come plodding back of their own accord before long. By now, Natsui was thoroughly exasperated and started to feel that there was no reason for them to go out of their way in search.
私はお客様方にお茶のご用意をしに厨房へ行きます。
I will go to the kitchen to prepare some tea for all the guests.
二人とも早朝からご苦労様でした。
Thanks to both of you for all your hard work so early in the morning. Almost read that as easily in the morning. Natsui left the parlor, acting as though the release in tension had caused a new surge in her headache. Kennen tried to call to her back, but Natsui left swiftly. There's that phrase again. I called out to her back. It makes sense. It's just very funny phrasing to me.
どうした?
And unsurprisingly, the back did not respond. What is it?
まだ何かあるのか?
Was there something else?
はい。
Yes.
旦那様方のお姿を見つけることはできませんでしたが。
I was unable to find her husband or anyone else, but...
その...
Well... Cannon sounded evasive. It looked as though he didn't know where they were, but had spotted something that might be connected to their disappearance. Eva and Hideyoshi noticed this exchange of words and came over. They probably picked up on something strange in Cannon's behavior.
どうしたんや、カノン君。
What's going on, Cannon-kun?
クラウス兄さんたちは見つかったんか?
Did you find Krasny-san and everyone else? Obviously not. Shut up, Hideyoshi.
実は
Just got like bitter all of a sudden. Actually,
バラ庭園の倉庫の様子がおかしいのです。
the Rose Garden storehouse looked strange.
様子がおかしい
What do you mean?
というのはどういう意味だ?
It looked strange.
それがその
It was,
何と説明すればいいのか。
how should I explain it? Kennen hesitated once more. His tone wasn't at all what you'd expect from this usually fearless boy. Ah, yes, Kennen. I would describe him as a fearless boy. Seeing this, Eva and Hideyoshi looked at each other dubiously.
どういうこと？
What do you mean?
倉庫の中に兄さんたちがいたんじゃないの？
Are you saying Nissan and the others were inside the storehouse?
いえ、中はこれから調べます。
No, I am going to inspect the inside now.
その鍵を取りに戻ったところなのですが。
I just now came back to get the key, but...
その
ようわからんが、とにかく中を調べればいいだけの話じゃないか。
Of course, Hideyoshi's just like, oh, fucking no, but let's go inside. But I don't really get it, but it sounds like we just gotta look around inside it.
その倉庫の鍵はどこにあるんや？
Where's the key to that storehouse?
使用人室にあります。
It is in the servant room.
すぐに中を確かめましょう。
Let us check inside the storehouse at once. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready for something. I'm ready. Kanon dashed off to the servant room and returned with the key. Genji left the parlor saying that he would go check, but then Eva and Hideyoshi followed after him. What was this something strange about the storehouse that had caused the usually fearless Kanon to hesitate? It was still pouring outside, but perhaps her curiosity over this something that Kanon couldn't talk about won out. While the children made a big fuss watching television, Kanon and the rest dashed over to the entrance. The Rose Garden storehouse was a place that housed various tools used to manage the garden. It was definitely not a pretty building. Because of its appearance, it had been built so that it was hidden in a corner of the Rose Garden. Kanon, Genji, Eva, and Hideyoshi came cutting across the Rose Garden holding umbrellas. They entered a small path just off the Rose Garden, which was normally off limits for those appreciating the garden and only used by those maintaining it. As they dashed down that, the storehouse came into view in front of them. It's just going to be covered in blood. Oh, God! It was quite an old shed, and compared to the flawlessly perfect beauty of the Rose Garden, it was pretty seedy looking. It was easy to understand why it had been built in a hard-to-see place. Eva and Hideyoshi arrived at the storehouse long after Kanon and Genji.
Kanon 君たちは早いな。
You two sure are fast.
わしは心臓が爆発しそうや。
I thought my heart was gonna explode.
こんなところに倉庫なんか建ててたのね。
I never knew they had a storehouse way over here. What? What?
何よそれ。
What is that? What is it? What is it? When Ava looked to where Kanon was pointing, she was at a loss for words. Noticing this, Hideyoshi also followed Kanon's finger and was likewise too shocked to speak. The entrance to the storehouse was a kind of shutter. And there, everyone suddenly realized why Kanon had been unable to find words to describe what they now saw. Stop! Do it! On the shutter, which was completely filthy from being exposed to wind and rain for so long, stuck right on it. All right. A bad rendition of the spellbinding circle from Yu-Gi-Oh was not what I was expecting, but sure. A magic seal has appeared. I was expecting like someone's dead body to just be like nailed to the shutter or something. Like I was expecting like like something dramatic. And this was just a little that's good. That's good. It's fine. There was something that looked like a strange dark red liquid? Mucus? Or maybe it was some sticky paint. An indescribably eerie shape was drawn on the shutter with some kind of ghastly substance. The rain had caused it to drip down like fresh blood leaking from an open wound. It's like I'm having to squint at it. I'm trying to like make out some of the symbols or something. I'm like, no more beating around the bush. Some kind of mark was drawn there, with a ghastly substance that looked like blood, in a shape that seemed to suggest something ominous. An ominous shape. 2 circles were drawn there, and inside them was I'm sorry, I'm not trying to downplay the oh, it's potentially blood, the symbol, whatever. Like I'm not trying to like downplay this thing. It's just very funny because the way how dramatic it felt like it was being, I literally thought it was going to be someone who was missing's body. So then just to have it not be that, Just massively caught me off guard. 2 circles were drawn there, and inside them was a design that looked like a cross. The 4 ends of the cross were widely exaggerated, and it looked like some kind of crest from somewhere around Europe. And in the cracks between these shapes, written closely packed together, were some unfamiliar characters, or possibly symbols.
なんちゅう悪趣味な落書きや。
What a vulgar bit of graffiti.
これあれか。
God, I really want to, like... I sort of want to end on a cliffhanger right now, but also that feels really mean to just, like, end before we've opened up this shed or whatever. Could this be one of those?
悪魔の儀式とかの魔法陣いうやつとちゃうか。
One of those magic circles used in demonic ceremonies? It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi... This wind is blowing so loudly, Jesus. It wasn't surprising that Hideyoshi would say that about such a ghastly shape, drawn with a deep red, dripping substance.
これいつ描かれたの？
When was this made?
昨日雨が降り出す前にここに来ましたが、その時には何も書かれてませんでした。
Last night, I came here before it started raining, and there was nothing drawn here at that time.
他の方々の目に触れる前に何とかしよう。
We must do something before anyone else sees this.
ご覧になられたらご不快になられるだろう。
If they laid eyes upon it, it would cause them great discomfort.
そうね。
That's right.
ただの倉庫小屋とはいえ、こんな気持ち悪い落書きを1秒たりとも放置したくないわ。
Even though it's just a shed, I wouldn't want to leave such an unpleasant piece of graffiti alone for even a second longer than I had to.
倉庫の中に塗料もあります。
There is some paint inside the storehouse.
応急処置でとりあえず塗り消して。
Let us paint over it temporarily as an emergency measure. Now let's just cover up the demonic presence. Just apply a fresh coat over the demons.
後日天気のいい日に改めて塗装しましょう。
Just paint over your problems. Then repaint it again someday when the weather is good. Genji remembered that he had just recently seen another scribble, and that it too had been made with a strange dark red substance of the same color as this. That must have been... That's right. He had seen it on the door to Natsui's room.
カノン君、
Kanon-kun,
さっさとこの落書きを消して戻りましょう。
let's remove the scribble quickly and go back, okay?
たとえ倉庫とはいえ、実家の落書きは本当に腹立たしいわ。
Even though it's just a storehouse, it's really irritating to have graffiti around the home I was brought up in.
はい、
Yes, ma'am.
すぐに済ませますので。
I will take care of it immediately. Kennen squatted in front of the shutter and unlocked it. He then lifted it up with all of his strength. A boisterous noise resounded, and the eerie shape drawn on the shutter began to get soaked in through the top as the shutter was raised. At least for the time being, that ominous drawing disappeared from their direct gaze, and they all breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, was there nothing in there? Or is it that a cliffhanger? Ah, was it just the symbol? Gargoyles! Demons! Dark-sided! Alright, we'll end it here for the night. I went even a bit longer than I thought I was going to with Umineko here, so... I said I would go an hour and then the next natural stopping point, so... We'll maybe consider it a cliffhanger or such. But that was fun. That was fun. That was a nice stream. That was a good stream, if I do say so myself. A good Monday stream, especially, I feel like. But that'll do it. As always, thanks so much for watching. It's always appreciated. I hope you had fun. Archives are up on YouTube of all the streams, so if you're like, oh shit, I missed his reading of earlier in this game, and I want to see those are still up on YouTube. I said earlier, like today just went up the last part that I did. That's technically on Sunday or Saturday? Saturday, I think, technically. Other games are also up on there, as they are. I should be back tomorrow. I don't know with what yet. It kind of depends on how I'm feeling on Tuesday. I'm enjoying Umineko. I'm enjoying it actually more than... I think I said this before. I think I said this probably like 4 or 5 parts into the series, but I was like, oh, I'm enjoying it more than I actually thought I would. Because there was a chance, I was afraid, I was like, oh, I'm not going to enjoy it, and then I'm just going to be locked into this Umineko thing for like 100 plus hours. But no, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. So I'm excited to see more. Stream tomorrow for sure. Unless, of course, something bad always happens. If something bad happens, I don't know. Or I'm just done with the world. So be back then. And, yeah, have a nice rest of your night.